I didn't have any interest in the Italian Job. It's not my kind of film. But I made a deal with a friend. If they watched Les Mis, which they'd never seen, I would watch this. This is the 1969 version. And I have to say, it's a film of two halves. The first half I found not interesting at all. And then the second half, which I will go into in a little bit of detail, so there'll be a couple of spoilers further into this. But I actually found that really good. That's all from a narrative perspective. But things like the editing, obviously the acting and the casting, the soundtrack, the directing, camera angles, what they did with the cars right from the very beginning, I thought was good. I enjoyed all of that. But the narrative for me took about half of the film to get anywhere for me to find it engaging. So it was directed by Peter Collinson, written by Troy Kennedy Martin, and let's face it, it's got a great cast, including Michael Caine and Noel Coward as Charlie, Croker and Mr. Bridger, respectively. And the description from IMDb is as follows. In fact, I don't know, see, there's something in this description that I don't know if it really is considered a spoiler or not, so I'm going to miss out the last three words. But it says, comic caper movie about a plan to steal a gold shipment from the streets of Turin. So, I don't really like that kind of film ordinarily. I don't really like action-based film, crime. I like crime films. I love crime dramas, in fact. But theft, not so much. Doesn't really bother me. Films about stealing bullion, I don't really care ordinarily. But this one, once it got going, because it's got a really good level of comedy in there and it balances the two very well, I actually thought it was pretty engaging. So, the first half, setting up, not that interesting. The second half, much better. There will be a spoiler from now. There'll be a couple of spoilers. And the first spoiler is actually what's mentioned in that description, and it's the fact that they create the traffic jam. I don't know if that was, if that's common knowledge about this film before you've seen it. I really knew nothing about this. So, I didn't know that's what they were going to do. But it's obviously a very clever thing, and that gives us some of my favourite scenes when I really started to like it, is when the cars are, racing all over and everybody else is at a standstill and they just have free reign of the road. And down the stairs when the wedding was happening, I particularly enjoyed that scene. That was very well choreographed. I thought that worked exceptionally well on camera. Basically, the treatment of the cars worked very well when we have them falling off of the cliffs. Very tense. When we have kind of point of view of the driver, I think they're beautifully shot. Very clever as well, as this unfolds and their plan develops. It's clever. I was very impressed by it and the development of that. So I don't really have any complaints about it as such. I can't really say that because the first half was not very exciting, it's not that great, because I'm well aware that it's not my kind of film. It would be like somebody who hates horror films reviewing a horror film and saying it's not very good because it was too scary. It's kind of like that for me. It's not my favourite genre, but the bits that I enjoyed, I really did enjoy. And Michael Caine was absolutely brilliant. The comedy was exactly what I felt like it should have been, and visually, in terms of directing and editing, it's great. It really is very good, and the soundtrack was fantastic. The ending, I don't know how I feel about the ending. I have actually done quite a bit of Googling around the ending, having now seen it, and it's interesting. There's some interesting thoughts on that out there, particularly Michael Caine's own thought, but I did want a little bit more of a concrete ending. I wasn't sure what was going to happen. I thought, which way is this going to go? And then it just ends. And I don't really get that satisfaction of everything went well, or the shock horror of everything just going kaput. But regardless of that, I did like it. Thoroughly enjoyed it, a lot more than I thought, particularly once it got going. Probably not a film I'll watch again. Will I watch the more recent version? Probably not. But if it's recommended to me, somebody thinks it's worth it, then yeah, maybe I will. Not the worst film I've ever seen, still not my kind of genre, but it certainly delivered, and for the most part, I found it pretty good.